She was just doing a dance for me, and I told her she was live. Okay, why don't you watch that screen? Make sure that we got...
I just love embarrassing.
So hey guys, Gavin here, and on today's practical show, we're going to get a little hands-on. I've been talking about herbs and natural medicine and stuff lately, and what I've found over the years is a lot of times the biggest barrier of natural medicine is delivery. We're used to, in this pharmaceutical world, of, hey, here's a capsule, right? Here's a capsule that will magically make you better. Of course, it doesn't, because unfortunately, most pharmaceuticals don't heal. They just kind of string you along, it seems like. But God's medicine works. And we're going to talk about that a little bit because I want to give you some practical application. And what we're going to do is we're going to make capsules today. And so that's going to be the focus. There's a few different ways to deliver herbs. You can do tinctures, you can do salves, there's essential oils, and you can make creams and stuff out of those. But one really good way that most people don't take advantage of is simply powdering the herbs and then putting them in capsules. Everything looking okay there? So what I have here is the lower bowel formula, which I don't think I probably have to describe too much, but it's a really good formula. It's a Dr. Christopher formula, and I use the School of Natural Healing book from him a lot because there's formulas that people have been using for decades that he came up with, and I do make my own formulas as well, but a lot of times I make his because why reinvent the wheel when you have one that's rolling really, really well? And lower bowel formula, relax formula, the pregnancy formulas, all that kind of stuff. He makes really good formulas on, and they're out there, and he makes them available. Dr. Christopher's passed away now, but you can find the formulas on his website. But I like this book because, in particular, this book actually gives the exact ratios along with a whole bunch of other education. So School of Natural Healing by Dr. Christopher is a really good one. And what I have here is the powdered herbs. And so they will make you sneeze, but we just have the loose powder, and all I've done is I take the raw herbs of whatever the formula is. So this one has, let's see here if I can find it real fast for you. I just had it and it just went away. Barberry bark, Cascara sagrada, cayenne, ginger, lobelia, red raspberry, turkey rhubarb, fennel, golden seal. I don't expect you to remember all those. I'm just throwing that out there. And so these are really good for the digestive system and just kind of helping things work the way they're supposed to. And they can be taken long term. A lot of the thing where capsules really come in is the long term stuff. People say, oh, I'm going to try herbs, right? So I'll drink a cup of tea. Well, a cup of tea is not strong like the prescription that you take. And so people often say, oh yeah, I tried herbs, but they didn't work, and it's because they didn't apply them. And so especially when you're talking about an ongoing ailment, you need a way to deliver that in an ongoing way. And we'll get into more of that later in terms of, what herbs work better internally and externally and all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is you take a formula like Relaxes or like lower bowel formula or like the birth prep formula. And if it's in capsules, it's a way that we're used to. It's easy to deliver. And so you can get empty capsules, and that's what we're going to do today. And we're just going to make a set of these. So what I have here is a capsule filler. Now this one is imported, and it's a little bit nicer one. This one actually cost me a couple $100, and you'll see here that we have, it makes it really quick and easy to do it. Now, you don't have to go to that extent. For years, I used this little guy, and it's a little capsule machine. I forget what it's called, but it does like 24 at a time. So if you just want to be able to mix up some herbs in your kitchen and put them in capsules, I've made thousands of capsules through this little thing, and it's a little more manual. This one's kind of semi-manual, and that's what we're going to use today. Bottom line is, here's loose ground up herb powder. I put it in the blender and just blended it really well. Of course, you can do an herb pulverizer or something like that if you want to get a little bit more extensive, but most people have a blender. You can buy herbs pre-powdered from like Penn herb, but their lifespan tends to not be as long. I prefer to buy the herbs in loose form, and I have them in jars, as I showed you in the video a couple weeks ago in the herb library, and then I can make whatever ratios I need to. So I'll take my scale, which I don't have right this second. I'll mix my ratios up, and then I'll put it in a jar like this if I'm going for capsules, and I'll make a nice big batch of powder, and then I'll do this. So here's how this works. In this case, we have the bottoms. or the long part of the capsule, which you probably can barely see. All we got to do is, on this particular machine, is we pour them in here and you shake it. Now this is a lot easier than some of them. And you shake it good, just like my wife when she's dancing. And the capsules drop in to the slots, and you tend to spill a couple of them, but all in all, it works pretty well. But you do have to shake them really well to make sure all the slots get filled. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pull that off. And I just made a huge mess, I think, because I probably did something wrong. Okay, we're going to clear off all the extras. Okay, so now, despite the fact that I got a mess on the countertop, I have all these capsules in here. Now what I do is I go through and I make sure all the slots are filled, and I make sure that there's none that are upside down. If there's some in upside down, I just kind of rectify them with another capsule. I can pull them out using the top of one capsule. And so I'll look like this for one's upside down, and it looks like mostly they're good. So we're going to call that good. I might spend a little bit longer making sure everything is just so if I wasn't on a video. But I don't want to make you have to sit here and watch every little aspect of this. Okay, so I cleaned my counter first. I'm going to hang on to these. And here's our bottoms. Now, I'm going to put this on here. Now, whatever you're using to fill the capsules, this will be a little bit different, right? So this machine works pretty well. There's other approaches as well. The bottom line is you're getting these capsules in some kind of a thing that you can fill them. Don't get into a point where you manually are filling the capsules, because it takes forever. And if you're trying to do one capsule at a time, filling them up, you can see that I buy pretty large bags, and you don't have to buy 10,000 at a time. But I buy pre-split halves for this particular machine so that I can fill these up nice and quick. Okay, so here's the tops. And I'm doing the same thing. I've got a couple of errant whole capsules in there for some reason. So I'm just going to toss those. Okay, so I'm shaking them in until they drop in the slots. Now when I'm being tidy, what I do is I get them all in their slots, and then I just kind of pour the excess right back into the container, like so. Then I lift this off. I rectify a few that are upside down. I just kind of grab them and turn them over. I spill a couple along the way. And so there's 4 or 5 in here that are upside down. Now in the manual ones, you're actually completely just putting the capsules in manually. And so you take one half and you put it in one side, and the other half and you put it in the other side. This, once you get it down, there's a little bit of manual interaction involved, but you can do quite a few this way if you're trying to make capsules for friends and family and stuff like that. So it allows you to be pretty efficient. Okay, now we have tops and we have bottoms. I'm going to take the cover sheet that goes on this. Okay, so here's my caps. Here's my bottoms. Now I'm going to take the powder, let's put it on here. What I will usually do is use a tissue, paper towel, or something like that, so I can reclaim any lost powder. All right. So, I'll take just a little squeegee or something to move it around with, and I'm filling all the capsules with whatever powder. And this is the beauty. I mean, this isn't rocket science. So you take whatever herb combination that you're working with, and formulas are a great way to start, because then you don't have to invent your own and reinvent the wheel. You mix them up in the right ratios. You put them in there, and then I'm taking this tamper right here, and I'm pressing them in. If I can find the slot. And I'm packing them down with the tamper. And so then I'm going to move it around a little more and just keep repeating that for a couple of times until I feel like it's packed to my satisfaction. Like so. Rinse and repeat. Now this is a very heavy-duty tamper, so I can get pretty serious with this. In terms of tamping, sometimes I'll dump a little more powder. You want to make sure all these capsules are nice and full. And that's where the tissue comes in, because I really don't even need a little retaining wall gadget. I can just pack it and move it around and pack it again. And when I'm done, I just clear off the tops. Nice and snug. So like this. Shake it out a little. Okay, so here's all our capsules filled on the bottom half. I'm going to fold this out of the way, and I'll put it back in the jar when I'm done. Okay, now I'm going to take my bottom half, and I'm going to take my top half, and I do have one upside down in here I just noticed, which I may have to leave because I already put the crown on. And essentially what's going to happen is I'm just going to press the two together and push it down into itself so that they're all sandwiched in there. And then pull it apart. And there we go. So you see I got a couple empty holes where I messed up because I was a little bit in a hurry. But here's 100 capsules, and then all I have to do is dump them out. And then I can fill a capsule bottle or something like that, which I buy in bulk off the internet, so I can store them nice and tidy. Or you can put them in a Ziploc bag, and there's your capsules. Can you see them? Okay, so we got a little bit of mess, but it's not too bad, and you can do a lot of capsules this way because I did it in, 5 minutes just while I'm having to talk and explain it here. So now we have our extra herb powder. I'm going to put that away, and I'll actually dump all of it back in the jar when I'm done here. So I tend to make larger batches and then save it for another run, or you can capsule them all at the same time. Bottom line is this with natural medicine. I found that for myself and also for getting other people just to be able to benefit from it, it needs to be simple, right? If you say, oh, you should check out XYZ herb, or you should get into essential oils, right? They're going to be like, oh yeah, I've heard about those, whatever. If you say, hey, here's how you make them, or you bring them over and you show them, or you give them a can of salve, right? And so when I make my cans of salve or my capsules, I label everything, I put the ingredients, and so I'm not selling it commercially, although most of Dr. Christopher's formulas you can actually buy commercially if you don't want to make them yourself. But the point is I'm making it simple so that they say, oh, this is just, natural medicine, right? And they can decide what they want to do with it. I'm not their doctor. They can figure all that out. But I've learned that if we simplify things, if we make it so it's deliverable versus, oh, you should have a cup of tea now and then, that's not the way to deliver herbs. You need consistency, and herbs are not a concentrate like the artificial pharmaceuticals that are being made now. This is God's medicine. There's hundreds of chemical constituents in this, whereas the drugs might have 1 or 2 chemical primaries in it. And herbs are way more complicated, but they're also more natural. They have less interactions, like pretty much none. Side effects, pretty much none. And there's no super concentrate like we see in the fake medicine that has become so prevalent in our society, because fake medicine that's been isolated oftentimes from herbs is patentable, and they can go through the FDA, and you can get everything, inside the circle of the corrupt government and the tyranny and be on the inside of the system. Whereas herbs really can't be patented. I'm sure they would if they could, but God's medicine that just grows in nature is just out there, and we can use it for beneficial use. What comes out of the ground is for beneficial use. The government does not have a right to regulate it. It's not the king's forest, it's not the king's deer, and it's certainly not the king's herbs growing in your backyard. It's just food. Let's use it for good stuff. All right, did we cover everything? Was there any questions or anything? I'm sure there is, but there's nothing. Was there anything in particular I need to address?
The only one I saw was where you get this stuff at.
Oh, the loose herbs, I get a lot of them from Penn herb, mountain rose herb, And so you see what I do is I just keep them all in mason jars, and they're very well organized. I label them all. So I take the time to buy a little labeler, and I always double label everything. And loose herbs are here. I have hundreds of them in the other room there. In fact, here we can disconnect the camera for a second as we wrap up here, and just grab it.
I don't know, did you turn it off or something?
You there? Okay, I think we're still on. Okay, so yeah, so as I talked about before, I mean, you see all my jarred herbs in here in the library, and of course this didn't happen overnight. In fact, I just installed these racks. I mean, you don't have to buy hundreds of herbs to get started. It's very inexpensive to buy some herbs and start making formulas. Down here I make tinctures. We'll talk about making tinctures another day, and then I also do salves and things like that, and we'll talk about methods for that another day. Today was focusing on lot dry, loose herbs, and capsules and things like that.